on your well-known story with Jaden.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know how that went and how long or how big are these submissions? How long
Um,
are the stories?
Mine ends up being 10 pages, page 41 to 51. Um, some of them are just 3 or 4 pages. So they're not super long chapters, but they're so great. Each of the stories are so great. Mine is called A Difficult Journey, and and the kind of slogan that I, always say is how a plant changed it all. And the reason I say that is because my chapter is about the struggle I went through with my son Jaden. And well, when he was born, he had seizures as a baby. He was colicky. He ended up having just all these different things wrong with him. At 2.5, he was diagnosed by 2 different neurologists with Asperger's, ADHD, and oppositional defiant disorder. He was very violent and aggressive. And for years, we fought the state. I joined Inspiring Hearts for Autism. I served on their board. I helped put in an autism center. I facilitated support groups. I did that for about 4.5 years. And then Jaden became more extreme. And I ended up going to the National Alliance of Mental Illness because uh, it was more based on, I guess, mental illness, of course. And I didn't want to like freak out a lot of the new autism parents on how extreme Jaden was, because not all kids with autism have extreme behaviors and aggression, but there's a lot that do. So I went over there. I became an instructor. Um, for a basic program, which is a 6-week class that we give to parents that have children under the age of 15 with extreme behaviors and aggression. So it was right up my alley. I ended up serving on the board there for about 3 years, and I did everything from gluten-free diets to no red dye, therapies. We had appointments all week long, every week. I was 100% dedicated to helping Jay, and it got to a point where CPS wanted to remove him from my home. They wanted to force me to terminate my parental rights because they were afraid he was going to injure me. And I had to reach out to politicians. I had to do whatever I needed to do to not let that happen. At the same time, I was being investigated because somebody had told them that I was using medical marijuana with him, and I wasn't. So he had to go get a blood test at just 8 years old um, for cocaine and cannabis and all this stuff. And of course, it all came back negative, and the case was never fully opened because they couldn't find anything to open it with. But it got me in touch with people in the industry, and I was like, well, I'm going to get his card for his nausea and headaches because he had really bad migraines for 2 or 3 years because of his anxiety. And then I got his card, and it really calmed his aggressive behaviors. It allowed his brain to make connections, and the rest is in the book. So, but it went really well. He's been able to remain at home with me, and it's really important to me that my story is told because I am the voice of many when it comes to parents that don't know what to do with their children when they have these extreme behaviors and aggression, whether it's traumatic brain injury, mental illness, whatever the case may be. And they get forced to sign their parental rights over. And before they do that, I want them to consider cannabis. And so that's really why I continue to push, because I know what it was like when I was fighting the mental health care system, when I felt like I didn't have any answers, when life was really, really bad. He was very abusive, and our whole world has changed because of this plant. So that's why I'm like, I can't believe a plant changed it all after all the things I tried. Um, after we found cannabis, he was able to finally utilize the tools, is what they call them, in his toolbox, his coping skills, his, being able to process things. And it was like I was pushing down all this therapy and treatment and doing all this stuff, but I was missing the key ingredient, which was cannabis.
I
So that's
remember,
a long-winded answer.
yeah, I remember your struggles with going to all these agencies or normal routes you think you may take, and through a hospital or through some state or something, and just realizing that there wasn't really anything there that helps your situation.
No,
That
there's
made
not.
sense.
Right.
And you had to keep on fighting through all these different things, and then realize that you had to create something if something was going to be there for anybody else.
Yes.
You
And
know, it's,
And I'm glad you brought that up because there's currently a group that I became a part of on Facebook, and there's a little over 600 families that have children that are fighting the mental health care system, that are not getting the answers, that are not getting the support that they should be getting, that these kiddos need. And we have been talking to lawmakers, and Jaden is starting to advocate and talk about the different placements that he was in throughout his journey, and how the conditions are not what they should be. It's not a therapeutic environment, and we are really hoping to improve children's mental health care here in Michigan. And I believe with his testimony and the things he can work together with lawmakers to kind of bridge some of these gaps that they have, and be able to have better services for these parents and children.
he went from again younger kid and really in the height of the struggle with his condition and the impact that he's having on you and the whole family and that kind of stuff, to somebody who can discuss his own story plus the 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 benefits of cannabis at large, and really have a meaningful impact on people when he relays this information to them. And